Imagine waking up to find that fuel turned into a weapon, petrol stations are jammed with cars, and prices shooting up fourfold overnight, and a new economic term shaking the whole world, which is stagflation, which means high inflation, low growth. Yes, we are talking about the oil crisis 1973, which happened due to stagflation. On October 19, 1973, world changed overnight, and the reason was Yom Kippur War, a war between Syria and Israel, where US supported Israel, and as a result, Arab oil producers struck back with an embargo. The OPEC imposed an embargo on US and other allies while shutting down the oil supply significantly. Before the embargo, the oil price was 2.9 bucks per barrel, which shoot up by January 1974 to 11.65 bucks per barrel, which was 300% increase, significant one. Right at the same time, the whole world's oil supply was declined by 5 million barrels per day, which was around 6% of the whole world's output. This shock hit the economies already struggling with inflation and supply bottlenecks. And to make things worse, oil was priced in US dollar, and US dollar had recently been devalued after the collapse of Bretton Woods system, which was a financial framework according to which all currencies were pledged to US dollar and gold until 1971. The collapse of this system volatile the change in US dollar exchange rate significantly. To protect their own interest, oil producers increases their prices so that they could cover the violation in the exchange rate. The embargo and price surge hammered the energy hungry economies like US, Western Europe, and Japan, where the US consumer prices increased to 12.3%, while the GDP growth decreased down to negative 0.5%. This was the time when the Japan's GDP from 8% in 1973 to struck back to 0% in 1974. While on the other side, in the stock market, the Dow had decreased 45%, which was like top in 1973 to bottom in 1974. The same situation was across the river as well, where in Britain, the FT35 suffered 73% in real terms. This shook whole world overnight. In Japan, they introduced car-free Sunday so that the people could save some fuel and they could arrange that fuel for the next week. Politically, this crisis reshaped the global energy strategy, where International Energy Agency was formed for the cooperation on one side. On the other side, countries introduced strategic petroleum reserves, and that at the same time, improved standards of the petroleum were introduced for the first time, where people saw that economies shifted on the nuclear and coal energy as well as an alternative source of energy. The producers were taking benefit from this, while on the other side, the consumers were looking for the diversification of the energy. From the warning perspective, months before the actual crisis, US diplomat James E. warned in April 1973, saying, "This time, Wolf is here." He argued that America is underestimating its dependency on the import of oil and disruption in the supply chain. The 1973 oil crisis taught us a really important lesson, which is never rely on one source of energy and never rely on one region. Always diversify the energy sources while build reserves and price energy realistically so that we could save ourselves from this sort of energy crisis.